This segment is sponsored by the Havana Cigar Club, located in Newark, Rhode Island. It's a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo. And by Age Selects, providing cigar enthusiasts with a premium long filler cigar aged at least 5 years at an extraordinary price. The expert buyers at Age Selects go to the factories of major manufacturers and buy cigars that have been aging for years. The team at Age Selects inspects them, smokes them, and packages them up to ensure you're getting the best quality cigar to smoke. The best part is they're provided to you at an affordable price. Order them online at cigarfrontier.com. And by M. Bombay Cigars. M. Bombay represents the most admired cigar culture of Cuba. They select the best of the best quality tobacco to use in their aging process. M. Bombay cigars are rolled in Costa Rica by some of the most experienced rollers, giving it a unique smoking experience. The band portrays the detailed and artistic nature of our small industry. Try the M. Bombay Casera Mora in the recently released Habano. M. Bombay Cigars, where the cigar is a way of life. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. This is our Stogies of the Week segment. We're going to kick it off with Will to talk about his first cigar of the week.
Yeah, so last week we had Brandon Wilson on from Wilson Adams Cigars. So I decided to go back and give a smoke to one of his cigars, which is the Sumatra, which is his red label. And that cigar has a Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, a Pennsylvania broadleaf binder, and some Nicaraguan filler in there. And I smoked the number 4, which is the 6x52, which was a little confusing why that was called a number 4, because I think of Corona size, not Toro size with number 4. But it was what it was, I guess. But I think this is a really, really good Sumatra, and it has that sweetness that kind of coats the palate on there. You get some of this cherry type sweetness. There's a little bit of wood in there. There's a little bit of cocoa in there. There's an underlying peppery spice that goes right to the end. It's a medium to full-bodied smoke, I'd say. But I couldn't get any pricing on this cigar, which I was surprised. I gotta find out what this is priced at. But overall, I'm assuming it's not something that's going to break the bank here. I think it's a box split. It's a really good Sumatra to smoke.
Yeah, I was impressed with his stuff as well, Will.
Because I don't know. I had no Paul syndrome with these cigars at all.
Well, that's because you're not Paul.
Right.
So, I smoked the La Aurora Puro Vintage 2003. We've talked about this one on the show before, but I had one kicking around in my humidor here at the studio, and I smoked it because earlier I saw that next door at the Havana Cigar Club, they got like a whole bunch of bundles of these cigars. And I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they are some of the last Puro Vintage 2003s in existence next door. And they've got them, I forget what the price point is, but it was pretty reasonable. I happened to buy a bundle a while ago, and I've been aging them ever since. And I smoked one, I think late last week after the show. And let me tell you, Will, this cigar is out of this world. I mean, it's one of those easy smoking Salamones where it's a big cigar, but you don't have to really work at it to smoke it. The flavors are just wonderful. I mean, all kinds of like dried fruit and tea notes that just are always changing on you. They're not too strong. I think they're appropriately aged now. You should smoke these now. I wouldn't age them much longer than when they're now. I think they're in their prime right now. And there's some really old tobacco in these, Will, right? In these 2003s?
I mean, it's the 2003. It's all 2003 tobacco they have in there.
They are just primo now.
That's their iconic. I actually just got the 6, which just came out. I just actually got one of them, so I'm curious to see. But I think it's comparing it to the 4 and the 5, I think there's no comparison that the 3 is the best of them.
Yeah, I agree. I have a bunch of the 4s, and I like the 3s way better. I rated it a Fight Chuck Norris for him.
I would agree with you on that.
This was pretty damn close to Oasis, Will.
No, that's and that cigar just continues to hold the test of time.
It does. Smoke them now.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
So I smoked a cigar from one of our sponsors, Roberto P. Duran Cigars. This is the Azan Maduro Natural in the 5.5 by 52 Robusto Extra. This has a Ecuadorian Corojo Maduro, a Nicaraguan binder, and Nicaraguan fillers with some other Latin American filler in there. Now, Roberto Duran Cigars, they make their cigars at their own factory, the Nica Tobacco factory in Nicaragua, and they grow their own wrappers. So that's kind of where they differentiate from a lot of other companies. They're in the wrapper business. A lot of other companies are sourcing their wrappers. They're growing their wrappers. So this one I'm going to say is a very interesting cigar. It's not. I'm going to say it's not a cigar for everybody. Okay, but I think it has a place for who that cigar is for. So this cigar is going to be a lot more. It's going to be a bold and spicy cigar, is the best way to put it. There's a lot of spice you're going to get off this cigar. Um, I thought the middle third of this cigar was really where it just hits a spot because as you're getting that spice, you're getting this smooth chocolatey profile that I love on a Maduro. But you don't lose that spice at all. It you know The other thing that's interesting is Roberto Duran Cigars, and we're gonna have Jack Tarano back on next month. They use a kind of a philosophy with their blends, and I've seen it on their blends, and I kind of agree with it. Where what they're doing is they are trying, as you're going through the cigar experience, they're trying to increase the amount of strength and amount of body throughout the cigar. They call it EPF, which is Evolution Progressive Flavor. Now, this cigar, I'm going to say it does that. It probably doesn't do it as much as some of the other Duran cigars I've had, but you're going to get an increase. But I think it's still mostly a medium to full strength, full bodied smoke. But it's going to kind of move up a notch a bit. Again, I'm not going to say it's a cigar. I like a spicy cigar from time to time with some bold flavors. This is a box split. If you like that, if that's a profile you like, which I do, I'd go for box split with that.
Awesome. Oh, this is one that you sent me, Will. Cesar Espinal
Yeah.
Habano Toro. Did I say that right?
Yes, the Cesar Espinal, and it looked like the Habano because there's a Maduro as well.
Hey, this was the Habano. I don't know if it was quite the Toro. I think it looks more like the Toro in the picture. Was there a
It's
smaller size?
it's actually, and I have that wrong. I'll correct it. It's a Robusto.
Okay.
It's a 5.5 by 52. So I will correct that.
Okay.
So I haven't smoked this yet. I'm going to be totally honest with you, but I've talked to the folks from Cesar Cigars. They're getting some buzz. I haven't had them yet, but this is a Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Dominican Corojo, and a filler consisting of Dominican and U.S. tobaccos.
This was really good. There's a very strong cedar aroma. Like the cedar sleeve that they put on it is a very, very strong cedar that permeates in the wrapper, which also permeates into the flavors profile of the cigar as well. And it's got some nice earthy notes. I really liked it. It was a good, smooth smoking cigar, well balanced. I'd call this a box split.
I got to smoke mine now. Like I said, I hadn't smoked it yet. I do want to smoke it, and I think I'm going to give it a smoke now this weekend.
Yeah,
And
I
they have a
think you'll like
Maduro.
this one.
They have a Maduro as well, so I'm kind of curious on that. So this is another brand. I think it's bigger out west. So it's one of these brands that I think is more further out west. I know the rep who I spoke to was from San Diego, Andy Sharfman, who sent us those cigars. So thank you, Andy.
Back to you, Will.
All right. The next one I smoked this is a very, very interesting cigar I smoked. Um, and I mentioned I was going to talk about this cigar last week. I smoked a cigar called the Inca Secret Blend.
What's the
So
blend?
all Peruvian tobacco.
Oh, I thought it was secret.
Well, in terms of the types of tobacco, they're not disclosing what types of leaves they're using. So I guess that's the secret. But so not only is it a Peruvian puro, it's
Which
made in.
we've never said that phrase before ever on the show.
No, I don't think. I don't think. I know there's been one other Peruvian puro on the market. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was La Libertad was at one time a Peruvian puro,
Okay.
but I think this is the first one I've seen at least that's a Peruvian puro and a cigar made in Peru.
Interesting.
So I got to thank Craig Vanderslice from Cigar Craig, who Saw an article I did on this, and he said I have these cigars. He happens to know the gentleman behind them, and he was kind enough to send me some. And I've smoked through them all, Paul.
Really?
Yeah. It's so just a little background. It was done by a guy in the UK who's a retailer named Mitchell Orchant. He's a big Cuban retailer, but apparently he got this brainchild to do a Peruvian cigar, and he released a Peruvian cigar called Inca in the UK a couple of years ago. And now he's taking it to the US market. And the secret blend was a modification of that blend for the US market. And you hear this a lot from people who sell in Europe. They tend to realize they got to make a stronger cigar for the U.S. market. So I guess that's what they've done. I've not smoked the old Incas. Craig was telling me they were both very good. Um, what I liked about this, I didn't know if I was going to like this cigar because sometimes what I find with Peruvian tobacco, it's too much of that herbal content for me, and I don't really. It's almost
Yeah.
sometimes and not to pick on the Fratello Lancero, but that was one I thought it
Yes.
just didn't work. Yes, you're going to get the herbal notes in there, but there's a wonderful sweetness with this cigar. The natural tobacco sweetness and the herbal notes just play in harmony together on this cigar. There's some red pepper you're going to get on this cigar, and there's a bready note on this cigar. It is advertised as a cigar that probably you haven't smoked anything like it before. I think it's unique. It's not a powerhouse. The medium strength, medium bodied cigar. It was not an overly complex cigar, but it didn't lack complexity either. Um, I think it's one of these cigars again. You're either gonna like it or you don't. I don't think there's an in between on it, but I liked it. I went for a box split. They go for about 950. And as a side note, they're being distributed by Alec Bradley in the U.S.
Mm.
So Alec Bradley's working with Mitchell on that. I am actually trying to get. There's really a lot of good content on their website, incacigars.com, about where their factory is like 650 miles in the interior of Peru. I mean, so
Wow.
there's a lot. And I'll tell you, after I smoked these cigars, I started reading about Inca culture. And it's just that's a sidebar. I got interested in that. So I think, it's something to check. I'm gonna get more. I'm gonna get some of these, Paul, because I want you to smoke this
Yeah,
and,
I
and
can't wait to
really
try it.
say, yeah, it's a Stogie Geek cigar, is what I'll say.
So I smoked the Rocky Patel Prohibition, the Mexican. This is the one with the Mexican wrapper on it.
Uh-huh.
Rocky Patel was kind enough to send us some, and we gave some away when we did the interview with Rocky. And at the end of this show, I'm going to give away the 5-pack. I have a 5-pack of the Super Ligero, Will.
Wow. I mean, this is. You're going to talk about the Super Hero in a little bit, right?
Yes, I'm going to talk
Okay,
about
so
that cigar.
I'll hold my thought on that.
Yeah, so I liked the Mexican. I don't know if I put the other one in here too, the broadleaf one.
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay. I'll talk about them both now. So as Rocky described in his interview, his feeling about where we are with the tobacco industry is kind of like prohibition, and he packaged cigars to be like that prohibition style packaging, wooden crates, jars. Yeah, Will's holding up one of the jars now. Those are the jars that they come in. How many come in a jar, Will?
I want to say 16.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a weird amount.
Yeah, I should know
You
that.
can't
but I
really
think-
see because there's loose tobacco on the top and bottom of the cigars in the jar, which makes the packaging very interesting. It's really nice packaging. And so he's got a Mexican and a broadleaf. They're both a fiver in my book. I thought the Mexican had a much smoother profile in terms of like a little like creaminess, kind of earthy flavor to it that you would expect from a Mexican wrapper. The broadleaf certainly had that broadleaf punch and that broadleaf sweetness to it. I thought they were both very consistent. They both burned great. Not a whole lot of change ups in when you smoke them. Again, this is a cigar I can see myself, out on the deck in the summer, lighting one of these up, and enjoying the flavors from it, but not having to pay attention to a whole bunch of complexity. And it's certainly a fiver in my book, and I think Stogie Geese are really going to like these as kind of a, everyday kind of smoking cigar.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you on that. I actually thought there was a big difference with the Mexican versus the broadleaf. But what I liked about that Mexican is that that wrapper did not overwhelm that blend.
No, it didn't. It was very well balanced. You're right, Will.
Yeah, it was very well, and that was, and I wanted to mention that to Rocky actually when we did the interview because I, that's my big beef on Mexican wrappers a lot of times.
So they're both very good cigars. I encourage our listeners to try them. You probably have you're probably on one side of the fence or the other, right? Either you love Rocky Patel cigars, or you're not a huge fan. What I'm saying is, Rocky Patel's kind of to send us a bunch of cigars, and I think the prohibitions to me are solid fivers, which is not a bad rating here on the show by any stretch of the imagination. I would definitely keep 5 of each in my humidor to smoke on certain occasions, for sure. And there's a great contrast between the two cigars, very different profiles. The one thing I did want to say is I find them both, Will, to be kind of sneaky strong.
Yeah.
When you got to the final third in both of these blends, they really kicked into high gear.
Yeah, especially that broadleaf right now is really kicking in. I'm on the last third of it right now.
Yeah, I think the aging. I think so. I think it has some aging potential. I think there's a lot of strength in that blend, and I think they're gonna get even better with time, as all
Yeah,
cigars do. But because of that strength, I think it's gonna hold up better in your aging process.
I agree.
So
I
put some of
totally
these
agree.
away too.
Yep, totally agree.
Back to you, Will.
So these will be coming your way with the next shipment, but I got the chance to smoke Larceny.
Oh,
So
nice.
yep. So I went up to the event where they launched Larceny over the weekend. Um, Pipe and Pint had 50 boxes and sold through them all. It was a multi-vendor event that they did, and no doubt that this was the top-selling cigar at the event. And as people went and smoked it, they were going and buying boxes. Um, so there's two blends. One is a blend done by Eddie Ortega for Sean Williams. That's called the EPM Larceny. And then there's another one called the Ortega Larceny that was done by Sean Williams. They both work with Eric Espinosa's factory. I'm going to talk about the EPM Larceny right now this week because I kind of smoked through a lot of those this week. And this is a real. I'll talk about the. I got to go back and smoke the Ortega one. So the EPM one's the Ecuadorian Oscuro, and the Ortega one is the Mexican San Andreas. Um, I'll be honest. I think the one I'm going to talk about right now, the EPM Larceny, which is the one done by Eddie, is the better of the better. I mean, and that's not a knock on the other; they're both good. But this was a really, really good cigar. It has a wonderful. If you like cocoa in your cigar, it's great. You're gonna have a lot of that cocoa notes in there. You'll get a little bit of red pepper along the way. There's some earthy notes. There's a spicy kick at the end of this cigar. And you want to talk about sneaky strong. I did not expect this cigar to be sneaky strong, and it got sneaky strong. I mean, it went from medium strength early in that cigar to full strength, where I mean, I felt it afterwards. So there was a large amount of strength to put in there. This one's box worthy. So if I would say they come 10 and 10, I would get these. If these came in a box of 20, I'd get a box of 20 of these. This is a very, very good cigar. I think it's one of the better cigars Eddie's done in a long time too. So he's done some good cigars, but this is a very, very good cigar. So it's definitely, I think, lives up to the hype.
I smoked the La Aurora Preferido Cameroon Corona. Now, we did a Stogie Geek short on the La Aurora. These are actually called the La Aurora Preferido Corona Especial.
Yes.
Okay. And so we talked about it in the Stogie Geek short. Go watch that. We talk all about these. We talked about this on the show as well. I wanted to give my rating on the Cameroon, which I think is box worthy. I love the Cameroon wrapper. We've talked about the Cameroon wrapper. This Cameroon in the shorter size, the Corona size, smaller size, or this size, they make it in even smaller sizes. It is just fantastic. It's box worthy. I think that this cigar has a lot of aging potential. For whatever reason, their Cameroon blend has tons of aging potential. It has to do with the components of the blend. You can age these for a really long time, and the blend holds up to serious aging. That falls. This certainly I could tell was one that wasn't super aged and would benefit from more aging. And I really think it's on its way to be fighting Chuck Norris for him when this one ages. So I would call this one box worthy.
Yeah, you talk about a factory, and there's a few factories that really have been working with that Cameroon wrapper. You got Fuente, you got, of course, La Aurora. I mean, La Flor. I mean, they just, you know, even Rocky's doing some good things with Cameroon right now. So, but La Aurora, when it comes to working with Cameroon, they're at the top of the game.
Yeah, and while we're on that, I also smoked the Preferido Corona Especial in the Corojo as well. The Corojo might be this one's also. What did I rate this one? I rated this one a 5-er, but as I smoke more of these, this cigar is growing on me, and I talk about it in the short that we did earlier today with Todd from next door, and this blend is it's really becoming one of my favorite in the Preferido. So much so I want to go back and try some of the other Preferidos in this Corojo. That spice, man, it really hits you. I mean, if your palate is tired or you're trying to pair with something that doesn't normally pair with cigars, reach for this Corojo. I mean, it really lets you know it's there. It mellows out. It gets nice and sweet. The one I had earlier picked up some really nice sweetness from it. These are really great.
That's a really good cigar. Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, check out our short for where you can get some of these Corona Specials in the Preferido blend. Back to you, Will.
All right, so this is a cigar that was gifted by you. It's the Davidoff 3000. And I kind of held off on smoking it for I wanted a special occasion. Last night was my 25th wedding anniversary. So I thought, what a cigar to light up there. If you, I should have put the pictures in the feed. I should have given the picture to Chris beforehand. But this cigar, it's an old cigar. It's a 7x33
It is
Davidoff.
old, man. These fell behind the shelf in the humidor. Actually, the shop called the humidor, where Jana from the humidor came down. Actually, they just did a very successful event with Drew Estate. A lot of friends of mine were saying they went to the event. I think it was last Thursday night, so I wasn't able to attend. But we love the whole family at the humidor, and she had these a while ago, and these got lost in the humidor. And they're probably 10 years old, Will, my guess, I would say. They have to be at least 10 years old.
They could be going back pre-2000. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen.
Maybe
I
15.
don't know
So
the
you
age.
think 15? Yeah, it's 10 to 15 years old, this cigar.
This is. I mean, and you could see it. The band is an ivory color. Now, I don't. Was that band always the ivory color? Because when I started looking at pictures, it seemed like it was.
Oh, maybe you're right, Will. I always thought that the band got yellower with age, but maybe there was more of an ivory color on the older Davidoffs, which either case would tell you that it's old.
It's old. I mean, it's an Ecuadorian Connecticut. It's in a Nympha, which is 7x33. And let me tell you something. Box worthy cigar. It was almost like Fight Chuck Norris. This was everything you want in a Davidoff. Those herbal notes, the wood, the cream note had almost a little bit of a coffee note in there. It was, and then towards the end, I got a little more spice at the end of the cigar, a little bit of a pepper. It's a mild cigar. It's mild to medium in strength, not a powerhouse. It's mild to medium in body, maybe medium towards the end, but it doesn't need to be more than that.
No.
That's that's what works so well. Now, I should have took a picture of this burn. White, razor sharp. I mean, the best burn I've had in a cigar all year. I mean, it just burned like a champ there.
That's awesome.
If you could find more of these, Paul, we'll talk, because this was a real.
Yeah, I think a lot of the local guys might have bought them up.
Oh, man.
I think she might have had 2 boxes like this one. The other box might have been a different size, very similar size to this one, but the other one might have been a different size. But I think she found 2 boxes in the back, and she was kind of like selling 5ers to a bunch of people, and sold out, I think, pretty quick. But I'll ask her if she has any more kicking around. But it's a special treat to smoke a cigar, this old. I was amazed. Well, the one thing that amazed me about this cigar was how well it aged. I mean, typically you think of the, what do they call this, the 1000 series?
Yeah, the 1000 series. This was the 3000.
You think of the 1000 series as a very mild cigar to start with. And then if I were to tell you today you should take some of those 1000 series and age them for 15 years and see what they do, you'd be like, Paul, you're crazy. It's going to age out in that time. This cigar was not aged out by any stretch.
Yeah, given it's a Connecticut shade.
Yep.
On top of that, so this cigar, like I said, I you know, and I love Davidoff. You love Davidoff. This is everything a Davidoff should have been. I mean, the next time I see Hanky, the first thing I would say is, "Would you ever bring this blend back?" I mean, it's
So are
just a.
they? So are they done with the 1,000 series?
I believe they're done with the 3000.
The 3,000. Okay, in this size.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think you can get this size anymore. Like I said, the Panatella has fallen on some. It's fallen out of
Yeah.
favor. But I tell you, when you get the right blend in one of these really thin rim gauges, it's not a very macho cigar to smoke. But
No, it is a very dainty
but if you
cigar. I call
if
it
you put
dainty.
it's dated, but you put your manhood aside, um, be comfortable enough with your manhood and smoke this cigar because it will be real enjoyable.
Mm. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Will.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was a very special treat. So. And that
Uh,
was my last smoke. That was my last smoke. So
okay, now speaking of Davidoff, I smoked the Golf that you gave me.
the tube and the Toro,
The
right?
tube. Yep, this came in a tube. It's actually, if you click the read more in the wiki, I took a picture of this one in our light box. So there's a picture of the cigar and a picture of the tube. And so, Will, this is the half, like one half of this box is the tube and the other half are not in a tube, right?
Right. And the tubes are the Toros, and the non-tubes are the Robustos, and they're slightly different blends.
And what is this blend based on?
Um, the they're using a wrap. They're using a wrapper that they used before. Let me bring up my note here. Keep talking for a second.
Mm.
Yeah.
It was very Davidoff to me. I mean, it was
It,
quintessential Davidoff. If you
it
love Davidoff like I do, you're going to love this cigar.
yeah. I That's why I wanted you to smoke it. Now I smoked through the Robustos, and the Robustos are a little more amped up, which is really good. But they're using it's. I'm sorry, it's a Connecticut wrapper, Connecticut shade wrapper, Dominican Criollo binder, and they're using a bunch of tobaccos from the Dominican as well.
In the filler.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome cigar. I mean, box worthy cigar. It wasn't one of those like Fight Chuck Norris or Oasis level Davidoff cigars for
that's
me.
exactly yeah.
It was definitely a box worthy cigar. I don't know that I would like go seek out more because the price point is what, $30 for the cigar?
32, and they're not
And they're
most of
not,
the
you can't
retail.
buy them individually, right? You got to buy the whole box.
Yeah, and what I'm going to say about that is I think I'm seeing them on the shelves, so I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing them breaking apart.
Yeah, okay.
I think the retailers are making a huge mistake keeping those sets together.
I
Because
I would buy one of these
yeah,
at $30 to try it because I'm a Davidoff fan. But if you're looking to put an investment into Davidoff and you're not a huge Davidoff fan, I like the herbal notes. I like the grassy flavors. I like the Davidoff style profile. My palate has definitely evolved. Certainly, first started the show to where I really like that. So thank you for sending me. I loved smoking it, but it's not one of those ones where I'm like, well, I got to go seek out a box. And the Colorado Claro is one for me, Will, that when I smoke, I'm like, wow, not only do I love Davidoff, I love this cigar, and I want to go buy a whole box of them. And the price point on the Colorado Claro is half of what this, or roughly half of what this cigar is going to cost you. And I think that you're going to like that Colorado Claro if you're listening to the show a lot better than this cigar. I think the Claros for me, especially with age, are easily, when they're out of the box, they're box worthy or better. They quickly move to fight Chuck Norris, and then you put some more age on them, and they become Oasis. Hands down. That's the way that the Claro goes for me. This one is special in its own right, but doesn't, to me, will have that real, and I hold the standard very high for Davidoff, right? It's not in that fight Chuck Norris Oasis level yet. Maybe with age it will be, but.
it's got aging potential. It's a very good cigar. I think the way it's being sold right now hurts it because I think it's a cigar that if someone bought and tried, they would like it and maybe buy another one to keep in their humidor. But basically,
Yeah.
the set is a $232 set,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot for 8 cigars. And like you said, there are a lot of other options. However, if you like Davidoff, it's quintessential Davidoff, especially that Robusto, which is a little more amped up. So I'm hoping I want to get some more of the Robustos. I'm just waiting for someone to
To
crack
break
open
it
their
up.
boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yep.
The I believe the last cigar. Let me just double check. Yeah, the last cigar that I have for the show is the Rocky Patel Super Ligero, and let me tell you, I don't know. Will set some expectations, and I thought he was like pulling a fast one on me. He's like, I don't know if that Super Ligero is going to be on your palate, Paul. You're going to probably like the Prohibitions a little better because you had smoked all of these. And I really thought you were like messing with me because I smoked this Super Ligero. I think I might have smoked 2 or 3 of them today. They're just awesome. Like I'm addicted to them now. It's unbelievable when you first light it up, especially in the first third. It has this amazing balance of sweetness and saltiness when you first light it up. That sweetness continues into the second third, and then when you get to the final third, it like kicks up into high gear, and you're smoking this really full-bodied cigar that is just wonderful. It's smooth the whole way through. Again, it goes through these very distinct transitions. This has to be one of my favorite Rocky Patel cigars of all time, and this is a new offering from Rocky, and I was blown away. I was blown away by this blend. And what's the price point on these, Will?
I think they're about in the $9 to $10 range.
Okay. Yeah, this is a box split for me. Probably easily box worthy because I think when you buy half a box, you're going to smoke a lot of them because they're so addicting. Will went through the same thing when he was in Honduras. Will say he was smoking 3 or 4 a day in Honduras.
I was. I mean, I went through a lot of. Now, I'll be honest. When I had this cigar, it was for the first time. It was earlier. It was young, and by the way, it's a $7 to $8 cigar. But it got when I had him in Honduras, and the rep who was with us on the trip said, "You got to give this cigar another shot." He kept saying this to me. He says, "I think you're gonna." And then I started smoking them, and I'm like, "Wow, this is really good." But I still wasn't sure if this was in Paul's wheelhouse, even afterwards, that it wasn't a bad cigar. So I said, "I don't know." I was really pleasantly surprised to hear that. Now there's a Lancero, which I have think is I got to get some more of those.
Yeah, I'm curious to smoke that in a Lancero.
I've only had about 2 of them in the Lancero, but the Lancero, it's really, really good in the Lancero. I think it's better than the Toro.
Yeah, I've been smoking a lot of the Toro size. That's a good point. Was the one that I've been smoking. We have a 5-pack of these to give away on the show, and I love this blend. I think he just did a fantastic job with it. I put it in for my palate, and I think for our Stogies listeners, if you're listening to the Rocky interview or hear us talking about some of Rocky cigars, and we've reviewed most of the Rocky cigars over the period of time we've been doing the show. This one is it's a home run for me. It's just one. I think it's got a lot of aging potential. I think that final third, it certainly packs enough strength. I would say it's probably medium. It's weird. It goes from like medium to full as it transitions through the cigar.
Kind of like that larceny I just talked about, where and we were talking about the Roberto Duran cigars, where they do substantially increase in strength. And this is one. The strengths. When I was having 2 or 3 of them a day in Honduras, I got immune to them. But when I went back, yeah, you feel the strength.
It's not a complete powerhouse. I mean, it says Super Ligero on it, but
the reason it's Super Ligero is not because it's a kick-ass Ligero.
Right. Yeah, don't think that when you smoke it.
It's because they cultivated a special Ligero out of a country which Rocky talked about in the interview, which is a contest question, so I'm not going to reveal it. But that's
the sweetness, and I don't know which component gives you the sweetness. I want to say it's a Ligero kind of sweetness, like
there's some jalapa in there, and I'm wondering if the jalapa is doing that.
It just there's a lot of nutrients in the Ligero leaf, and that just translates into flavor. And you've heard us talk about that. I know when we talked about Nat Sherman, we talked about their blending seminar, and various people come on the show. That Ligero, I think some people have a misconception about it that it's just strong and doesn't have flavor. I think that a lot of that sweetness comes from that Ligero, and it's just done very well in this cigar.
Yeah. No, it was a big surprise. The Rocky Patel releases from last year. There were 4 cigars he released. The 4 premium lines: the Super Ligero, the 2 Prohibitions, and the Decade Cameroon, which I don't know if you've had that yet.
I haven't had the Decade Cameroon. I really want to try it now.
I tell you, he had a very, very good 2014. It really, he didn't have any dog rockets with any of those this year. And the guy's a Stogie geek. If you listen to him on the show, that's why I had to ask him a question. How hard was it to pull yourself away to go to Washington? Because he just seems like he likes to roll up his hands and get into this.
Absolutely. Will, what's our contest question for this show? I'm gonna get this 5-pack right here.
Okay.
I got it all packaged up and ready to go. I think I smoked a lot of these Ligeros. We have 5
Okay.
left, and we better give them away before I smoke them. So I've got 5 here in the pack. I don't know if we can zoom in on one of those. Yeah, that's the Super Ligero from Rocky Patel. So I've got 5 of them ready to go, Will. So what's the question? And you get a Stogies Smoke Naked T-shirt with that too.
Okay, so we had 2 interviews tonight. We had one with Russ Sutton from the Southern Cigar Festival, and one from Rocky Patel. Both announced new cigars they are bringing to market. Russ actually broke some news. Rocky's news wasn't broken. It had come out on another source on what he was releasing. Name one of those new cigars that were announced tonight on Stogie Geeks, though, and you will win the prize pack.
Excellent. And there's a Super Ligero there on screen.
I mean, this is you're gonna like this cigar, I think.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone for watching this edition of the Stogie Geek Show.
By the way, you don't want to miss next week.
What's next now? What's next week now, Will?
Well, Mel Shaw from M. Bombay.
Yes.
But Matt Booth, who has confirmed.
Oh, Matt Booth is next week as well. So make sure you tune in next week.
Strap your seatbelt on. Strap your seatbelt on.
That's it.
Yeah.
Tray tables in the upright position.
Yeah. Yep.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see everyone next week.